All right, from the deep freeze to the funding freeze on Capitol Hill. It's day 3 of the partial government shutdown. The main sticking point, a funding fight over DHS. Right now, the House Rules Committee is meeting to figure out the next steps to end the deadlock. Speaker Johnson is confident it will get done by tomorrow, but he could face problems within his own party. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna wants the SAVE Act included. That would require people to show ID when they vote. And for perspective, you need ID to buy alcohol, open a bank account, get a car, fly on a plane, purchase a gun. It seems like voting would be logical to add to that list. But will it be part of this funding deal? Joining us now, Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy. Senator, good to see you. That seems common sense, but it has for a long time. That hasn't meant that it will pass. Voter ID. Will it be part of this funding bill?
Well, I mean, right now we find ourselves in the posture, as you know, Will, of having 5 appropriation bills and a continuing resolution to keep the Department of Homeland Security open. The Senate's already passed it. If the House doesn't pass it, a big portion of the federal government will be shut down. And that, in my judgment, would be top of the list, king of the hill, #1 stupid. And it would be the Republicans' fault. Not only would it be bad policy, I support the SAVE Act, but if you add it on to the bill, and then the legislation, all of it has to come back to the Senate, and it doesn't pass the Senate, then we would have to go into a government shutdown, and Republicans would be blamed. Senator Thune has already promised us that he would bring up the SAVE bill separately, and that just seems to me to be the smart way to go.
If it came up separately, this has been a thing that's been lingering for a while, Senator. Could it pass a Republican House and a Republican Senate?
I think that most Republicans would vote for it. I would. Now, you know, we've got a few free-range chickens on the Republican side. We may have to gather them up. The question will be which, if any, Democrats would vote for it. I think we'd have to have some work to do there, but it's not insurmountable.
You had, I'm going to ask you a serious question off something that I don't know how serious you were being. You paid a compliment to Senator John Fetterman. You talked about his attire. And by the way, I have a whole host of new compliments for Senator Fetterman. Despite our many, many disagreements, I continue to find him interesting and independent. But you had something to say about his attire. You said he's basically the Hills Hollywood. He is Adam Sandler. Here's my serious question to you about it. Whenever I talk about Fetterman, and if I pay him a compliment like I just did with you, there are people who say to me, have some respect, Senator. Dress up. It is a big job in Washington, D.C.
It doesn't bother me. Look, I like John Fetterman. I like him a lot. We don't vote together very often, but I really like him. Now, you know, some may consider that a questionable life choice, but I don't. I think the guy's a total banger. He's a maverick. He follows the rules on the Senate floor, and I really like him. And what I like about John is he plays outside the pocket. He just doesn't give a damn who's mad at him. You know, if you ask him, Fetterman, you know, how do you sleep at night knowing that there are people out there that hate you? He's likely to say something like, you know, with the fan on. You know, he just doesn't care. And I find that refreshing.
You know,
He's a total banger.
A total banger. That's a new phrase for me, Senator. We're going to have to get you on the Will Cain Country at a longer episode to figure out exactly what that Louisiana term means.
It's a compliment.
I'm taking it. I'm reading that it is a compliment. I really am. You know, I will say, I agree with you. I would much rather a maverick who dresses like Adam Sandler than an impeccable conformist. I would much rather Adam Sandler in the Senate and in the mind than a partisan conformist, but with a nice suit. If that's a banger, I'm with you, Senator. He's a banger.
That's a banger, man. You nailed it.
All right, thank you.
You know, you're just a good old Texas boy, Will.
Thank you so much, Senator. It's always good to see you. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.